I'm a quadroon. Now, it's possible that these words and my story are coming at you too soon, and maybe I should wait until that Obama is a mulatto, that's the one drop rule shit fades through the American conscience. And maybe my story is just a little too honest. A little too harsh a reminder of civil rights false promises. A little too bright is the light in my skin that sheds light upon what lactification trauma is. These are the confessions of a quadroon. Someone who is 3/4 massa and 1/4 coon. Someone who changes colors based on the racial makeup of the room. The only time I've been mixed up in my race is in the world's haste to put me in a category of my yin and yang reality. See, I wouldn't even exist before color TV. And even then, I'd be an anomaly. Go out and try to trick whitey girl type baby. Yes, these are my confessions. I just gotta get it off my chest, so I do this shit instead of therapy sessions. I spit in rhythmic bits, cracked like Pangea's continents, as split apart as is my racial confidence. See, I wish I had some instructions, a guidebook for the colorblind or something. You see, I secretly believe that when they noose pulled my uncle's soul from his flesh, they just wanted to see an impossible thing, a Negro gone free. And oh, how they bared witness as he became God again. Some men just got nightmares inside them. These are my confessions. Something to keep these veins away from self-destruction, to keep this brain away from that color-coded corruption that I can see everywhere. These are the confessions of someone who's never felt fully there, who's never in sync, like writing blue in the classroom when everyone else has got black ink. Oh, wait. I've got a little black too. Said I've got a little black too. I've got a little black too. Well, great, now you can color me till I am black and blue, bruised from being beaten with my own confused roots. These are the confessions of a quadroon. So they told me to pray. So I prayed to God. I prayed to God, asking him to tell me what to do. And when I asked, he told me, child, your life would be easier if you were to just pass. I would live an easier life if I were to just pass for white. But you know what? That don't quite feel right.
When I looked at her, I knew she wasn't fully white. Like, I don't think she can pass for white. Yes, she can't pass for white.
See, it wasn't like when I looked at her, I thought white woman, but then when she started talking, that's when it's like, okay, there's something else there. But I didn't like.
How about look at her? Her features don't look Caucasian.
I don't know. I honestly thought that.
I think she's mixed with something. Like, she's not a full-bred white girl, but I didn't think she was white.
I thought she was white. Like, just like I said, just looking at her, I thought she was white. And I heard what was being said, and then I looked at the video, and I'm like, my first thought was like, why is this white girl? Like, is this? I thought it was a comedy. I thought somebody was like doing stand up or a skit. I didn't know it was real. But then when I watched her speaking, and I heard the poem, and I'm watching her talk, I'm like, okay, now I see it. But initially, I thought she was a straight up white woman.
Yeah, but
I knew she had something in her.
She doesn't look white, bro.
She definitely has. She has colored features.
Yeah, I seen her. She had thick, curly hair, but it was red.
I mean, like, literally her facial features. Like, even her skin tone doesn't look like, her skin tone does not look white to me. She looks light skinned.
So you would have thought she was light skinned. Wow. I'm sure she would love to hear that.
I would not have necessarily said black, but I would not have said
she looks like she honestly looks like she's from the Caribbean. You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
All right.
Okay, so regardless to what we think, um, to your point, Will, when we're talking about them not fitting in, right? Oh no, sorry. The point I was trying to get to before was when I saw the video, it seemed to be that she wanted to be able to identify as Black without pushback, right?
Essentially,
No,
essentially.
I don't believe so. She started out when the interviewer was talking to the dad. The interviewer said, "I asked your daughter what she identifies as," and her response, which was disappointing, but a clear call for help. Well, she said, "Today I identify as Black.
Mhm.
Today I identify as Black," and this is what sparked the conversation between
Hold
Will
on.
and I about.
I think we're taking that out of context, though. What I got from her saying that was that she didn't feel comfortable doing that prior to today.
No, that's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I got from it, that she didn't feel comfortable. But that's because she has something has happened in her early years where she was confused as to what side she should lean on. Like it's almost like she might have been asked to choose, because this is why I had the conversation. You look at me, anybody for face value will look at me and be like, "Oh, that's a Black dude."
Because you
Oh
are.
no, nobody. My grandfather, blonde hair, blue eye, Bob
Doesn't matter, you're
Oliver is
Black.
his name, is all white, right? And if you look at my mom, you would never think that my mom is my mom. You would never think, because she favors white. She has this almost the same complexion as this young lady, this Quadroon made up name, you know, with white hair. And when I say white hair, what I'm saying is what people know to be white hair. You know
Good
what I'm
hair.
saying? No.
I have good hair, okay? I'm a whole nigga
You
over
do.
here. Anyway,
You do.
I got good hair too. See? See?
so
Good hair. Yeah.
Serge, you're
But I
Caribbean,
never but I was never confused.
and I'm about to tell you
There was
why.
nothing to be confused
Glad you said
about.
that. I'll tell you why. You are Caribbean, so I know you have heard this
Yeah.
phrase before. Show me your
Yeah.
company, I'll tell you who you are. You are surrounded by the Negroes, so of course you're a Negro.
Well, so
Don't laugh, Will.
so this is but this is the back and forth that Will and I had today. So when you go to Jamaica, right? You got
Oh God,
you got Chinese Jamaicans. You got Chinese Jamaicans. When you go to the restaurants, the best Jamaican restaurants that everybody rave about is the ones that's owned by the Chinese, and it's the Chinese Jamaicans that's running it. And then when you sit there and you talk to one of them, it ain't no you want five eyes? No, it's a yo, Mario, them type thing. You know what I mean? So it's like we got you. I think you said it best. It's like, show me your company and I'll tell you who you are.
So that those
Right?
Chinese people are really Jamaicans.
They're
I would say so.
Jamaicans. They're Jamaicans. If they're born in Jamaica, just because they're two parents or one of the two parents is Chinese, this is the argument we were having today, Will. If they're born in Jamaica, they're Jamaicans. If you're born in America, you're American. If you're born in Japan, guess what? You're Japanese.
I thought he was gonna say you're Japanian. I'm about to say no, Serge, no.
I might have had to edit that out.
If you're watching it, if you're watching this video, chime in, man. Let me know. It's all I'm saying is so there is no country named Black. I get it. I get race and I get nationality. But at the end of the day, if you keep it as simple as, hey, I was born in Japan, so I am Japanese no matter what my tone is. Or I was born in Thailand, I am Taiwanese. No, that's Taiwan. I'm Thailandese or whatever.
I'm
no matter
tired.
what the skin
It's
tone.
just
Oh, that's
tired.
just
Mexicans,
fine.
right, Ty. When you go down to Mexico, you see all types of shades of Mexico, right? You see dark, you see light, you see, but you know what they identify as? Mexican. They don't call them a white Mexican, a light-skinned Mexican, a yellow Mexican, a taco Mexican, a goddamn burrito Mexican. They're just
Okay,
Mexican.
hold on. So here's the thing, right? Can I insert here for a second? So I think it's easy.
As you
I think
should.
it's easy to do that when you're talking about other countries. However, in America, our country is divided by black and white. And so I definitely see why she feels the need to figure out which side she belongs to.
But do you
It's the
understand
way,
what that
it's the
is?
way
Who
of, I
decided?
understand what you're saying. I'm saying that it's different for her because we're not talking about what country she was born in. We're talking about what race she's identifying as. It's a very different conversation.
We gotta stop it. We gotta stop it because at the end of the day, if you want to go so finite, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, I mean, literally, you know, Americans wouldn't be Americans, right? If we want to go all the way down the lineage, you know, we could look at people and like, you're not American because you have a 16th of this blood in you or this, that, and the third. You got Irish blood in you, so you're Irish.
Sir, you're talking about apples and oranges. She's not asking if she's American. She's asking, am I black or white?
But I'm talking about apples and oranges on purpose.
Yeah, this whole show is gonna be outtakes fucking with y'all.
But listen, I'm purposely talking about apples and oranges to show how stupid it is, man. I get it. You know, you want to do the race thing, but at the end of the day, what are you? Were you born in America? Yeah, I'm American. Were you born in Ireland? Yeah, I'm Ireland. You know, you can say I'm American, but I have
We're gonna send you back to social studies.
He's a project manager, not a fucking geography teacher and nationality teacher. Or
Who
what?
gave her that complex? She didn't figure that out at 16, 17, 18. She was given that complex.
Given that complex by who? By black people that didn't want to accept her because she wasn't black enough?
I'm gonna say the people closest to her that she was influenced by. And it's not always friends, it could be parents. You got to think about, there's a whole different dynamic, and everybody, I mean, statistics have shown there's a different dynamic between a child born with a white father and a black mother versus a black father and a white mother.
I think it's very difficult for Mark to accept the fact that his children would identify as being black. And I don't think it's really a racial issue. I think it's more of a father wanting to have that bond with his kids. He wants them to be able to relate to him. And there's certain things about being black that he could never relate to. No matter how many African drum classes he takes, no matter how much world music he knows, he would never be able to understand the experience of being a black person.
So depending on how the family construct is set up, meaning if it's a stay-at-home black mother and it's a white father out working, bringing home the bread, there's a different dynamic on how that kid is raised. And
Keep going.
this is not me just throwing stuff out there. These are studies, right? So typically what'll happen so I'm going to generalize middle class and up, the child ends up going to the school that both parents agree on, but if it's affordable, they're going to go to this not Ivy League school, but the school that the dad says, hey, you should send them to this. They're going to get a better education, which is what all parents want. But that is typically exactly what this young lady was talking about when she was in this school. She was in a private school at first. and she went, and there was a lot of people that looked like her but weren't her. And this is where she picked up and started to feel like she was out of place. Okay, looked like her but weren't her, or at least she felt that they looked a little bit. They looked more like her than the other side. And I'm speaking in those generalities on purpose so that you have to understand there's a difference. Now flip the coin. You have a black father, white mother. Then you have a child. You're not going to see that byproduct, i.e., the child, confused about what they are. They're
Why's
going to
that?
grow up black. They're going to grow up black. They're going to be taught black, grow up black, black, because that white woman chose this black man for a particular reason.
That makes sense to me.
So the byproduct of a black father and a white mother, majority of the times, that child will not have an identity issue. That child will identify automatically as black.
And why are we saying this?
Well, because there's been white papers written about this. There's been studies published about this.
What's the reasoning behind it? What's the mechanics behind it?
Yeah. It was 217 pages. I got what I
He
needed
said
out
what
of
he
it.
said was, I'm gonna stop him. What he said was what he said was because the child will grow up black. So essentially the child is not going to grow up the same way that they would in a household led by a white male. You know, they're going to go to the schools that they go to, the types of schools they go to is going to be different. I guess the questions raised.
So we're saying that the race of the father, we're saying the race of the fathers was going to determine how that child is raised. Is that
essentially yes?
No. We're saying
essentially yes.
You're saying yes. I'm saying no. What I'm saying is
you're not saying
studies
no.
have shown.
No. Studies have shown that when the daddy is white, the child has identity issues. That's what you just said. In plain. I'm just making it plain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If the mother is black and the father is white, we get this situation more often than we get it if the father is black and the mother is white.
Pretty much.
I didn't even know that. I think that is a phenomenal. I didn't even know they did studies like that. That's crazy.
There's another level to it.
What's that?
Let me give you another level. This is gonna knock you out of the park. This might be another show. Now you have two black parents, male and female, that create a black child. But both black parents grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods, and their parents had all white friends, so they only hung out with white people. So now they're driving that child, they're navigating that child's life towards that side. Do this, don't do that. And listen, that's parenting.
Right.
Obviously there's some level of evident success on that side of the street. There's nothing wrong with that. But now you have a black child, all the way black child, trying to identify or fit in to a white group and look down at other black children that are not trying to do the same.
They're giving them the blue ivy.
Yep.
Look at you lowly Negroes struggling in the ghetto.
I'm trying to wrap my head around because I'm still not understanding the mechanics of it. Like, what about? And I'm not disagreeing with you, right? I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm trying to figure out is what are the mechanics behind that? Like, why is it that we're saying that the father's race determines how this child is going to identify? What about the father helps to determine that?
Let me take that, sir. basically it boils down to hypergamy. Like Sir said, when a woman chooses a man, she chooses a man for a reason. A lot of women, especially like more traditional women, they want to be led by their man. So there's certain decisions that the man is going to make that are going that's going to shape the child. And one of those biggest things is in identity, because the man wants his children to be a reflection of him. And her father actually talked about this. Her father talked about how he feel like it's unfair that Obama is called the first black president, because what about his mother? Like, he's also white. And he's speaking from the position of a man who has two dark children and another one that looks more like him but don't want to identify as what he is.
Maya has one of her lines about Obama in her Quadroon poem. She talks about Obama, kind of consciousness or that we're in now, and it's funny. I mean, to have a mixed race president, but of course he's a black president. He's the black president. It's so true. I mean, it's so unfair to his white mom in a way, and I feel that sometimes too. Like when you said Maya identifies as black, well, okay, I guess I got negated out of this. I guess and in a way, society does that to create one drop of blood, or if you're an eighth of octoroon, you're black. Man, it's unfair to be the white parent in that formula.
So it's just it makes sense that it would make a difference, because the mother more times than not is going to defer. And imagine a black mother resisting an opportunity, like being with a white man, and like, especially if she come from our most common experiences, if she come from nothing. Imagine her getting with a white man and being able to give her children a life that she never had. Who's like, how can we expect them to be like, nah, let's move to the urban community so that they can get the real experience? Nobody's gonna do that. So it just
and that's taught.
I mean,
That's
feel
taught.
like I feel like we're making a lot of assumptions here. As I said, I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys are saying, because I tend not to argue about things that I'm not wholeheartedly sure of, right?
what
So
does your
let's
gut
be
tell
clear.
you though? What is your gut? You ain't got to argue. What does your gut say?
But so for instance, with this specific girl, right? The issue was that she didn't know how to identify, but her father was white. So if your argument is true, and I get that there's always exceptions to the rules, but just for the purpose of this conversation, if your argument is right, then why is she having an issue with not being identified as black?
I think was the statistic says it's only saying that people are more likely to have these identity issues if they have a white father. It's not getting into the dynamic behind it. I think the lack of acceptance from our side, or just the regular abuse that we give each other, like they have an option to choose. And I think this is what that's also what she talked about. Like, it's not just that she wants to identify as black. It's that she's frustrated that black people treat her differently because she has the option to choose.
No, no, let me tell you something. She placed herself in that position. In my opinion, I'm sorry to be harsh on this or any generation, but she is playing the victim for no reason, for nothing but attention. I think is honestly she needs the attention, or wants the attention to feed her growing poetry artist career. Let me ask you a question on that note. That sounded harsh, but anyway,
I don't think it takes away that this
do you,
is a common issue.
Right.
They got
listen, man,
movies about
listen,
this shit.
man. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. There's a lady. She happens to be a fairly popular person. She's an R&B singer. Her name Let me see if it comes to me. Mariah Carey, 34-time Grammy winner, Mariah Carey. You know what Mariah Carey identifies as? Wait a minute. Do you know what Mariah Carey's quote unquote race is?
Isn't her father black?
Or her racial background? Okay. Well, she got to have a mother too.
I know,
How it
I'm
works.
saying her
Maybe
father's
not.
black, correct?
They just making people these days. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
What does she identify? What does she identify as?
I have no idea.
Let me ask the question again. Now that brother Josh is on the call.
But
Welcome,
hold on, sir.
welcome,
Before
brother
you ask
Josh.
that question, because I don't know where you're about to go, and I just wanted to address one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You bring it up. I don't know why you brought up Mariah. Mariah is the
I'm gonna tell you
exact.
why.
Hold on, but Mariah is the exact thing that this young lady was talking about. She gets grief for because she played
That's
both
exactly
sides.
what I'm talking about.
Okay,
But she didn't play both sides. Mariah always identified as African American,
but
and then she
hold on,
mentioned she gave an honor roll.
because when I'm saying, even though she might have been struggling with it in the process, when she came in the game, nigga, that was a white woman. And then once she got her
No,
name up, once she got her name up to the point where they can't do nothing else with me, all of a sudden she hanging out with Cameron and Dame Dash on camera.
Oh no no no
she
no!
she
All of a
originally
sudden she on camera
Wait,
with all of the niggas.
correct him, correct
wait!
him,
No no
Jay,
no 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 no
correct him,
no!
Jay,
Wait!
correct him.
Then you saw her hanging out with old dirty bastard getting
Did
drunk.
That's
Old
it.
Dirty.
That's what
That was
happened
kind of when it
before they
started.
were there.
When she got with Old Dirty, that's when we was like, wait a
It
minute,
was over.
But
what's going on?
she always identified as black and said, "Yeah, I
I don't remember
also
that.
have." She made a song about it. The name of it was "Outside." Google it. I can't make this stuff up, man.
Oh, yes,
I
you
can't make
can.
it up. I'll wait.
Is that on
Everybody
her
got
first
computers
album?
in
I'm gonna
front of
pull
them.
this up. I'm pulling this up. Right, goddamn.
Google Mariah Carey.
I
Google
ain't
the
googling
lyrics for
nothing. I'm in
Mariah
the Apple
Carey
Music
"Outside."
store.
Josh,
All right.
Josh.
Yeah.
So, you saw the Quadroon video?
Oh no, I didn't have a chance.
I really
If
wanted
I
to.
saw it, it would have been a whole lot of trouble. I don't know. I think it's interesting, man. I think you always have to really look at how this whole genre of species originated, right? This
Oh,
genre of species was first originated in the back of a slave quarter somewhere, where some poor woman was getting raped, and it created a whole subspecies of people. Like that's where it started. So if we
damn.
having some conflicts over who we are, I mean, shit, you got to go back to the foundation. You have to be conflicted with the origination of, of the whole species, right? So, I mean, I feel bad for anybody who has identity issues, because as purebred black people, I think when I got my 23andMe back, it said you all nigga. So as even the pure-blooded black people, even even being one of us, we still have identity
Yeah.
issues, right? So we
So so
still.
so
That's a
so
great
so
point.
Josh, this is that's an excellent point. This is what sparked the in-depth conversation. This has been on since 9 o'clock this morning, by the way. So in the text, if you was reading the chat, if you got caught up, I know there was a lot. It's like I don't feel the empathy, because what people don't know about me, what very few people know about me, is that my grandfather Bob, because he didn't want anybody calling him grandpa or papa, is Bob. Call me Bob.
Yo,
He's
but hold on,
blonde hair,
Serge. The
blue
the
eyes.
rule the rule is if you
Last
got
I
name
just
is
want everybody to know
Olivier.
he got white in him because he keep talking about this.
yeah, and I think
Now
what
I'm bringing Josh up to speed.
but hold on, Serge, because we can cut to the chase. The rule is if you are all white but your granddaddy is black, that's a problem. If you got
Yeah.
a white grandfather and everybody else surrounding that man is black, there's nothing to talk about, sir. The people like the way this game is set up, it's one drop that ruins the pool. So, and it don't go both
But
ways.
but what
Right.
but what I'm saying is this identity problem. So if that's the standing rule, then somebody who has influence over this person at when she was a youngster, a younger chap, told her different. They did not insert that rule. They did not embed that into her programming
But
as a
hold
young
on,
child.
let me ask
But
this.
I
Let me
got
ask this. Let me ask this because
wait, can I just address that? So what I got in that video and listening to her was that nobody told her anything. Because if you remember, she was very surprised that her mother identified as black. So it seems like nobody had these conversations with her.
That's right. That's right. She actually thought her mother was going to say, "I am German and African American." No, but then her mother turned around and said, "I'm African American." And then she explained that I got a German mom and a dad from South Carolina. So you're absolutely right. So again, so this is where the parenting piece falls short. If nobody told her anything, we're not asking them to choose a side, but that's why you got these damn furries out here now talking about I identify as a cat. Because nobody's telling them, listen, you're not a cat, you're a whole human being.
so
You're
listen, here's the problem though. Here's the problem. Like, yes, people could say because that's the law now. You could identify however you want to, but if there's a community of people who already identify that way, and when you come around, they telling you not that, where do you go from there? And I think in this particular instance, looking at this girl,
Then so that baby, you gotta stand on your ground.
but that's the thing, like we talked about earlier, when it comes to being around our people, we a tough crowd. So if you got another option, most people are gonna choose the softer route
The fittest.
all day,
You better be that.
all day. So I think like when I look at the situation and I look at her mother obviously looks like one of us. Like nobody has to ask the question when they see this woman. So she's being raised by a woman that looks like that. I think it's natural that when she gets into other spaces and she sees, girls and women who look like that, she's going to be drawn to that because it's familiar. This is her mother. But when she
she's
gets
20.
to those
She's
spaces,
20, bro.
I know she's 20, but this is a lifelong experience that these people go through. It's not like they deal with this forever from what I hear. So, and I understand it because if you come into these spaces and they looking at you like, hey, what you doing over here with us? Because of our history being what it is, we got trust issues. We got trust issues. So it's like, what you doing over here, right? Like, but at home, it's a totally different situation for her. So it's hard. I could imagine it being hard to accept because it's not what, like, she knows it doesn't have to be like that.
I'm gonna recant what I said about the parents. You know, maybe 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 the parents did the right thing by not directing her in a certain direction. In school, every year they talk about Black History Month, and they tell people about Black history, the version of Black history, and then obviously there's classes or discussions at school that these teachers have. I wonder what those discussions are like. I mean, of course, the teacher's not going to say, well, if you have, I don't think a teacher will go ahead and say if you have black in you, you're black. I don't think that's their place. But I'm sure that discussion has been had.
I think
Held.
I
I
think the
think
interesting thing about that whole I think the interesting thing about the whole conversation is that it's only an American ideal because they're mixing every place else around the world, and we don't even have the discussion at all. You know, Africans have been in Europe forever mixing. They've been in Spain mixing. They've been Germany. Like, so it's. I think we have to ask ourselves, why is that conversation so important in America?
But
And
but
I
who
said
benefits
that
from it?
earlier.
right,
I
to your
said
point,
that earlier.
exactly my point to Serge is that this is not about whether or not, because Serge was trying to make the point that any place else you go is either you're Chinese or Ireland or Thailandian, how Serge likes to how Serge likes to put it, right? But in America, she does have to struggle with that argument because we are so divided by race in America. So yeah, I
Right.
think that is the
That's
big.
exactly.
that's the
And
root.
so the conversation then is why? Why are we survive? Why are we divided by race? And who is
Oh,
it?
we
And
know the
who is
reason
it
for that.
important to? Huh?
We know the reason for that,
Do we?
don't we?
Enlighten me. Enlighten me.
There has to be the rich, there has to be the poor.
So for class purposes, then we're divided because of class purposes.
I mean, isn't that the case?
I
I
think
don't
I
think so.
think I think there's so many pieces of the pie. I think they find any when I say they, I'm just saying people in general, the powers that be will go ahead
Well,
and insert anything to create more division.
I'm glad.
Because
I'm
like I was
glad
saying
you,
earlier,
Serge. I'm glad you clarified that day because I thought you was talking about a trans person for a second there. But anyway, continue.
Teaching to
but
have this
that's
conversation.
You,
that's what
check
we
your
were saying
pronouns,
earlier.
brother.
Right? We were
But
saying earlier, or I was saying earlier,
the history
if
of this
if you're
country has been to divide black and white because white is privileged.
and now it's even more. Now it's more division. Now we got letters. We got all type of letters to. I don't understand. Gay is gay, man. Why we have to have 50 letters to describe each little minute group? It's just creating more division. And it's not even a race. It's a preference now.
The reason why you do that is so you can make it a civil rights issue, which is that term question, the conversation me and Will been having for the last whatever. So is when you turn being gay into a civil rights issue, then you make it virtually impossible for any black person who is gay to identify as black before gay. And so now their sexual preference supersedes their,
Right.
duties as a part of a race. And that wasn't the case with James Baldwin, whose movie's coming out soon, which is why the brother's so beautiful. Because even as a gay man, he was still able to debate people about the needs of his community. And what they did when they weaponized homosexuality or the LGBTQ community, when they weaponized that, they took every black person who had a social, desire, urge, or feeling off the playing field for us. Now they're playing for a rainbow flag as opposed to the black community. And so that's something that a person like James Baldwin, who, if you guys never saw it before, go on YouTube and watch his conversation with Nikki Giovanni, beautiful woman then, beautiful woman now. But this is a black man debating black community, home, and family values. He's never going to
Yeah,
have kids. He's homosexual. He's never going to have kids. Or maybe he did, I don't know. But it's
I
not a
don't think he
part
did.
of it's not a part of his everyday life. The family structure is not a part of the way he lives his life, but he still felt compelled to discuss these issues that affected our community. And there's hasn't been a gay black man who's taken that position since. So that's why those letters are so important, Serge, because it's a civil rights issue. It's just like feminism was important for the anti-civil rights movement in the 50s and the 60s. Feminism was so important. So now every woman had to become a feminist, and that became a new civil rights action cause. So again, it goes back to the original question I asked when we started. Why is race so important here and no place else? Why is it so important for them to make us a color? It really is a mental health crisis that we're having in America, which is why it's so easy for you to, create a whole nother race. Like they created this race of whatever that girl considers herself, because I don't even use language like that, so I
Quadroon.
can't. Yeah, I don't use language like that, so I can't repeat that. So-
You know where that word comes from? Like what? Like where we get this quadroon from? Like how is
I
that even?
I never heard that word outside of discussions with Josh until
on
yesterday.
this video,
Until yesterday. Yesterday was the first time I ever heard anybody else utter that word. The shit was fucking hilarious.
I've never heard it before. You had me on Google like, what is
Oh,
this?
so it's a person who is 1/4 black by descent.
Yeah.
what
And
is
then there's,
what
and
is
then
the
there's
what is the
octoroon.
octoroon?
What's an
What
What is
octoroon?
the octoroon?
one
This
person
is
who is 1/8 black by descent.
oh my
So
goodness.
so this
One.
is the other side of the coin that Serge is talking about with his white granddaddy. This is the other side. This is the other side of that coin where they like, nigga, if you got even a little
Yeah,
bit, you lose your
a
privileges.
little bit.
You lose your goddamn privileges.
Oh man.
As it pertains to this particular discussion, I expect us to get viewers from all over the world. People outside of America, I don't think they'll even be able to understand the levity of this conversation. I don't think they'll be able to understand just how relevant this discussion is in America in 2024. you know, I don't even, because of the space that I've been in, having the luxury of living in a society that isn't separated by race, it's difficult for me to even participate in these conversations because I feel what it does to my body. Like I can feel like a negative energy entering my body as I'm listening to y'all. Like I'm not
Yeah.
even saying much. I'm just listening and I'm absorbing this negative energy. So I don't even like to address it, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge that there are people, a lot of people apparently, who feel this way in their experience growing up in America. And all it does is it highlights the truths that we don't like to talk about on the big scale, you know. And that's on both sides. There are black people and there are white people who simply don't want to have a discussion about race. And then you have people who are literally caught in the middle of the conflict and don't know what to do. So I think it's just another I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say it's just another thing that highlights the issue of race in America that people want to pretend is not there. That's it. That's all I got to say about that. So anybody else got any last words before we move on to the next thing?
Nope.
I'm gonna close. I'm gonna get out quick because you said quick. You said something super key when you said people want to pretend that there isn't an issue. I think that's where it needs to get nipped in the bud. Stop pretending. Provide the facts. Don't give your opinion. Just give the facts and then let people make their own decisions. Young, middle age, or old. Just provide the facts.
And be
Stop
comfortable
trying to
with I
sway
think be
people.
comfortable with the truth is important because there's a lot of
Yeah,
denial.
absolutely.
So we need
Yeah.
to allow the truth to be spoken and then prioritize justice, and we can go from there. We can keep
Well, I
it.
think the other part of that, and the other part of that, right, is that I think the reason why we can definitely cut me off after this, but I think the struggle with not accepting the truth is that without accepting the truth, without the acceptance of the truth, how do we change it?
Bottom line.
And
Well,
the problem that we keep running into is that we want to fight about what happened because it doesn't feel good.
We can't. If you're not going to accept the truth, there is going to be no change.
Right.
Truth
I'll
hurts.
I'll say this.
That's
I'll
what,
say this, and all I would say is I would amend it to say the facts, because God is the truth. That's the only truth. So people don't want the facts. They don't want to absorb the facts, and so we run into a problem there. But I don't think America has a race problem. I disagree with all of you guys. America does not have a race problem. America has a mental health problem. That is the problem with America. It's a mental health crisis, which is why now we're even into this whole conversation about what we're going to do with the genitalia of 7-year-olds. So we have a mental health problem that hides behind race. It hides behind class. It's gaslighted. It's race and class are used to gaslight the mental health problem that we have. And so once we acknowledge that we're over medicated, we're probably the most over medicated country in the free world. Will walks around Thailand shops and he gets, holistic things and natural food, and his chicken tastes different, his beef tastes different. You know what I'm saying? Once we realize that,
Pause.
once we realize that it's a mental health crisis in America, then we can address every other issue. So that's my take.
Yeah.